All right. Are we going? All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? So, let's dig more into my dissertation. Let's move into historic current content. The current content covers the details that have occurred from 2018 and beyond. The current content was divided into the Foundation for Western Philosophical Justice and Consciousness and Leadership. The Foundation for Western Philosophical Justice contained information about punitive punishment and restorative justice. The Consciousness and Leadership portion explained the continuation of servant and quantum leadership. So the Foundation for Western Philosophical Justice. Western philosophical justice is evolving in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Quantum Era. A new paradigm represents the death of old systems and the birth of new systems. The quantum era brought newly innovated technologies that have and will revolutionize the economy, jobs, cognitive abilities, and transformation. Punitive punishment. Organizational leaders understand the losses that punitive punishment creates economically and organizationally. Lawsuits, employee dissatisfaction, and high turnover ratios have negative consequences for companies. The negative consequences of punitive punishment have revitalized leaders to seek an alternative solution that heals. Restorative justice. Castleberry, Kligman, and R. Conducted vital studies that utilize alternative dispute resolutions, especially restorative justice and practices. The study conducted by Castleberry provided evidence that peer mediation is a tool that is successful within organizations at creating empathy, comprehension, and coalescing the organization. Kligman provided evidence that restorative circles have a profound impact on an organization through building empathy, awareness, and responsibility. R provided evidence that forms of mediation, conflict coaching, and restorative justice in circles are prevalent within organizations to find new possibilities to resolve conflict. An organization's survival in the future will depend on how chaos is managed and on discovering ways to unify an organization. Consciousness and leadership. E advised that a new paradigm with innovative technologies that advance the relationship between humanity and machines takes shape in the quantum era. The quantum era created new leadership to advance the collective consciousness and reshaping and forming new leadership structures within an organization. Organizations that implement servant or quantum leaders will create the growth needed in their organization to shape success within the new paradigm. Servant leadership. In the 21st century, the idea of servant leadership has been implemented, studied, and discussed prominently among scholars. Servant leadership increases consciousness by developing listening, empathy, empowerment, and stewardship to their followers. Servant leadership promotes growth within individual employees by putting employees above the organization. The individual growth created by servant leadership promotes a strong and successful team working environment. Quantum leadership. The world is entering a new paradigm, a new era, the quantum era. New technologies such as quantum computers, quantum phones, and quantum security have pushed the idea of leadership in a new developing direction. Quantum leadership. Quantum leadership induces growth and transformation within the individual and raise energetic vibrations. Ontological and philosophical understandings guide quantum leadership. Quantum leaders promote growth through challenging and chaotic times. As the old paradigm crumbles, then the new paradigm begins. Quantum leaders guide employees and the organization through challenging times by utilizing strong intuition and understanding the necessary changes needed to be implemented by empathizing with employees' interactions. Quantum leaders connect the employees with managers and leaders, creating a united organization that strives to understand one another to accomplish the best path possible. And that, so let's go up. This might be shorter than what I expected. Yeah, we're only at 6 minutes, which is good. So let's just kind of overview that. I want to explain that a little bit. So quantum and servant leadership. Servant leadership comes at integral, and the way how servant leadership works is that the leader becomes the servant to the employees, and I know that may sound strange, but what it does is the leader guides the followers through letting them discover who they are. And it's a difficult, it's not easy, but the leader just kind of questions followers, but doesn't really give them an answer. Because for the follower to prove themselves, they must basically answer the question or experience what it is that the leader is trying to show them. And that's kind of like how I read it through, and that's how servant leaders, develop the listening, the empowered, and stewardship through their followers, is they guide them by giving them questions. An interesting one, like academic paper that I read, was it kind of happened through riddles. It's supposed to challenge the mind, and that's kind of how servant leadership works. They allow the person to make either the mistake and learn from it, or if they're a little bit more wise, then they'll understand what it is that the leader's talking about and they'll accomplish the task. Quantum leadership can use that, but quantum leadership is basically a huge understanding of the micro and macrocosm of an organization. And that's servant leadership doesn't quite bring it all together. Most of the leaderships focus more on the top structures, and even servant leadership tries to bring it together, but quantum leadership thoroughly brings it together because they have a greater understanding of how the micro affects the macro, and the macro affects the micro. And you will know a quantum leader. And like I said, these individuals are rare, and they're in the unitive portion. And the key thing to being in this quantum leader and also in the unitive mind, is you have to be strongly spiritual or understand that there's some intelligence. There's a higher form of intelligence that's greater than you. And faith and hope, you know, can also play its role because those are very strong um, uh, intuitive guides that can create reality. But the quantum leader works on bringing the bottom and the top together. It's a leader that will show themselves, that's not afraid to talk to people on the bottom. They don't use their uh, upper management and lower management just to communicate with them. I mean, this is a person who's really involved in making the best work environment. And that's how you'll understand and you'll see a quantum leader. And yes, things are changing, um, technology-wise. I'm not much in favor of the AI that is coming out. I I think there's a different way to AI. Um, if that's even possible, I'm not even sure. Um, but here's the danger with the way how humanity is advancing. So, like I've shown, about 75% of the population, well, about 80% of the population is in the lower mind, where 20% is in the higher mind. And most of those that are in the higher mind are just barely getting their feet wet in the higher mind. So technology is advancing faster than our growth of consciousness. And human consciousness can be very, very powerful. Um, most don't even know the potential of what humans can actually do as their consciousness grows. It can be so powerful that just the thoughts that enter your head can be focused into creation and become reality. And it's very, very interesting what the mind can do. And you don't even necessarily have to be completely involved in like making it happen through action. Um, and that's quite interesting too. But things that really, really halt the growth of advancing our spiritual consciousness. So one can be technology, especially since people aren't growing at a fast rate. And, I think social media is a good uh, measure of that because a lot of that goes into the collective. Because I always think that anything written kind of goes into the collective, and so do thoughts. But I think the written words have a powerful creative ability. And so quantum leaders, you'll see them interacting with everybody and being everywhere as much as they can. They have great energy and strong intuitive abilities about direction and where things are going. And if things aren't going in that right direction, they understand, okay, well, something's missing because it's not pushing like it should. So we need to pause right here and find out what the issue is and backtrack a little bit and kind of like fix this so that we can move forward. And that's really what guides quantum leadership is they understand the energetic fields of individuals. They understand the chakra systems. They understand how positive energy works. They understand how fear halts progress. And they will work with people, whether that be individuals or groups, in order to help them break free from where they're stuck, so that these ideas can move forward. And AI is dangerous because right now my fear is, I mean, AI's good. I mean, it can be good. You know, it's nice to have something that you can just talk to sometimes and get a response and an answer pretty fast. But the danger comes in is AI is not always right, and I think people are gonna like float to that idea to where they're just kind of like not doing research on their own and not really reading things on their own, and they're just kind of like letting AI kind of take over their mind, and that's a danger. Um, Technology is good, but you have to know your foundations. You have to be able to understand how to properly research before you go into AI. And I'm not talking about, oh, I saw this on this and this and this, and somebody responds, oh, that's disinformation. No, no, no. Just what I'm talking about is just going through the process of learning how to research on your own. But it's just not like that. It's just kind of like when it comes to food in the grocery store, a lot of people don't know how to farm these days, and it's always good to like understand those basics and go back to those basics, um, because maybe it was because my grandparents went through the Great Depression, but they taught me a lot about always understand your foundation, and go back and learn that, because if you don't, then you're gonna miss things along the way. There's gonna be things that you don't realize, um, and you'll not properly understand what individuals, maybe on the bottom have to suffer through in order to work through something. And so it's always important to know your foundations and to remember your foundations, because starting at the beginning and building a strong foundation is how everything stays stable. I mean, it's the when you're building something, that's what you want to do, and take that as an analogy. I mean, if you know your foundations and you create a strong foundation, and then you can use technology like AI, and you can see if it gives you misinformation or wrong information, because like everything else, it has an agenda too, because it was created by humans and it's bias and all this other stuff. So it's going to favor certain things. And without that foundation, it's kind of like you put the building together from the top to the bottom, where the top is more the foundation and the bottom is just weak and crumbly, and it's just going to take something small to collapse the whole thing. And that's why understanding the micro and macrocosm, or just anything micro and macro, are very important. And it's also something that I'll get to a little bit more when I go through the results and what I found through my research. And then as we continue on the next portion, I'll go into a deeper dive into the conceptual framework literature. I may not, this is a little bit longer, so I just may point certain things out, um, on that one, and then you can read the rest. But at the moment, I want to stop there because the conceptual framework literature kind of goes more into deeper topics. And as you can see, this is the first paragraphs of each conflict resolution theory. Of each theory will stem back to the first chapter, but then I go a little bit deeper into what it is, because that was basically the process. Like I said, there's a lot of repetition throughout this, but and that's why I'm not reading everything verbatim. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of this and let you go. This one's about 20 minutes. So if you have any questions about restorative justice, punitive punishment, servant leadership, or integral leaders, the integral mind, or quantum leadership, or the unitive mind, just drop a comment below. Alright, I'll see you guys in on Thursday. So, you have a good one. Peace out, and bye.